to just, make them feel good.
Hey, it looks like we're live. It looks like we got a decent group here. Everybody muted on their screens.
Well, there's a lot of people, Derek. I don't know how decent they are.
Looks like we got a decent group here. Who's that? Is that you, Jeff?
It's probably me, for God's sake. Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
Well, hello, everybody. We'll let everybody flow in here to the room as this gets going. We're waiting on one more. We're waiting on Diamond. Where you at, Diamond?
Let me give a shout out to Melinda while we're waiting. She's the one that sent me the spiffy hat. And if you'll notice, the hat matches the background. How about that? That is first class. And she sent me the nice muffler or scarf. And she also sent me these spiffy gloves. But don't look now. But not only are they gloves, but with one simple magic trick, they're mittens. How about that?
Check this out. I've got Ranger in the background. Can you see the dog in the background? You see him airing himself out? He's on the floor back there.
Oh, there he is.
He's laying on his back, spread eagle.
That's a different dog, isn't it?
Ranger, yes. This is Ranger.
Okay. Rex, how you doing?
You're muted.
Never better. It's amazing out here. I got to tell you, I just love it. It's like this weird persona of extraterrestrials, hybrids, cattle mutilations. It's wonderful out here. I mean, I just feel right at home.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah. Stuff that I've been looking for my whole life,
Absolutely. Awesome.
Looking for me, I guess.
Awesome.
Well, it looks like we have Diamond here, but showing up. Let's see. Diamond, you with us? Hey. It sounds like your mic is muted.
Thank God.
Will you just look at it?
Will you just look at that mohawk?
Nice mohawk.
He's still muted, though.
Yeah, you're still muted there.
Cousin. Oh.
Here we go.
There we go.
Now we hear you. How you doing, David?
I'm doing excellent. Diamond.
Diamond. Well, I see David at the bottom, so I didn't know what. I'll call you Diamond always. So, Mr. Diamond, good to see you here.
I'll rename it.
Meet you, Diamond.
Well, everybody, so this is a preview. Done. This is a preview for The Witness in the Desert, and I've got just a little bit of a maintenance that I need to do, because it turns out that one of the viewers of my channel has gone missing. So his family is looking for him, and they just want to know that he's safe. And his name is Kevin Ford. So he's from Hannibal, New York. So Kevin, if you're watching, contact your family. They're very worried about you.
Wow. And if you have Kevin, release him.
Yes, and if you're holding Kevin, release him. All right, so this is what I wanted to do is get all of you gentlemen together and talk about kind of a preview of what to expect, and I'm also going to talk about some things. So, as we what do you got there, Rex?
This is just a radiation detector. It's showing the EMF levels. Is it still stuck in red zone?
Yes.
What number is it?
I can't see
the number.
Can't really see.
Can't make it out, Rex.
No. Looks like 20. Looks like 22. Well, you keep bringing it close to the screen. It goes to 9 when you get close to the screen. Then it goes to yellow. When you back up, it goes to red.
Interesting, because you would think that it would go to red when it got closer to the screen, but it's actually going red when it gets closer to my brain.
You would think. How about
Ladies and gentlemen, last night I had some missing time, and I woke up, and I was in a spaceship, and they put some type of microchip into my brain. So now it just raises the EMF levels. Yeah, exciting. I had a blast. I actually asked them to. I was like, I need to download stuff faster because there's so much information out there. So they're like, all right, we've got this new device, and we just look at it. It's right there.
Awesome, bro.
Oh, yeah. Cowabunga, dude.
So can you imagine this group in the desert out climbing in caves and looking for aliens and secrets of the earth? So
They're
this
there.
Well, it's no contest for best hair. I think Diamond's got that down. So
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I don't have hair, so it's a competition between.
So, are the Hopi going to allow us into special places, and are they going to reveal some of their prophecies in some type of disclosure event?
Well, the thing about the Hopi and is that Rex has been tasked with going to Hopi territory. So Rex will be going to the Hopi territory to talk to them and enlist a guide to take them where they're willing to. Now, whether or not there are many different variations. If you talk to the Hopi, everybody has a different variation of what their prophecies are, basically just a different interpretation. But people coming and asking them to reveal their prophecies and reveal these things as part of their prophecies. So depending on who you're speaking to, he's got amp oil, that they're going to reveal and talk about different things, just kind of like all the different interpretations of the Bible. As I have this was given to me. This is a 200-year-old Bible.
wow.
200 years old, and reading this thing and going through it. And this is a direct translation from the Latin Vulgate. So obviously when I go through this, it's remarkable to see the different types of interpretations. So the same thing goes with these prophecies. But
I was going to ask you a question on that real quick, Derek. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you said that's a 200-year-old Bible. It's a direct translation. Is it quite a bit different from the Bibles that people would go read today, whether it was a King James, New International, New American, whatever?
Entirely.
That's wild.
Entirely. Yep. So it's quite remarkable, the things that it doesn't say in there, and the additions that were introduced that we have in our typical Bibles today are dramatic. They might not seem like much, but there are introductions of different people, introductions of different entities. And it's, as I've gone through it, I mean, there's a lot to go through in this, but I just started to go through this. So I'll be talking about it more as I get more in depth. But just as pointing that out, that all through, we have to unravel these mysteries. Nobody's going to do it for you. They're just going to tell you, oh, well, that's what it is. Like you go to a church today, they're going to tell you that's what it is. Well, the same goes with all of the prophecies and the Hopi people, the Navajo people. They all have different interpretations of it. But understand this is that they have been pressured by the government. Remember that the government manages their land. So they've given up so much of their sovereignty to the federal government. So the federal government is there. When I was at Hopi territory, like I said, I woke up the next morning, there were federal government cars in the parking lot of the community center there. And I just simply, it's out in the middle of nowhere. You have to ask yourself, what are they doing there? And then the same thing took place up here at Monument Valley when I was up there. So, and right now there is, and this is fully expected, we're getting some resistance for us being up there. Now, if we were just people coming to the location and walking around and seeing the stuff, and we weren't actually, publicly investigating these things, well, then there wouldn't be any resistance. But there's resistance with the people and even the family that owns the property that we would be on. So we're making some arrangements as to where we'll be able to camp, because the feds are quite involved and giving a lot of grief. Fully expected, but don't worry about it. We're still going. We're still going to show up. We're still going to go into these locations. The family is still going to guide us into those locations. But it's remarkable that I was just wondering how long it would take. But that just confirms to me the things that we were speaking of, that there's already a company up there that's doing something, and that they have something planned right around the exact same time that we're there. So this isn't surprising to me. I think that whatever is going to take place, we're going to find out what that is. So Rex, have you looked at any of the Hopi prophecies or anything? Are you going there completely?
That was cool. Did you hit that on purpose?
No.
How'd that happen?
That was Diamond.
Diamond? I was like, what in the world? Okay, the Matrix exists, folks. No, I just know about the ant people and the prophecies of being brought from the underground or being brought back into, here we are. Now things are good after a cataclysm. They were protected. And I actually just did a show with Annie from the UFO Watchtower. She that's out there by Crestone, Colorado, and the sightings out in that area of UFOs and other paranormal sightings have been documented since at least the conquistadors. And on top of that, the Hopi prophecies, I don't know if it was the Hopis that talked about the ant people, but it was if it was the Hopis, then yes, I'm very familiar with the prophecy about the ant people. I was wondering if it was the Hopis or the Navajos, but the Hopis, yes. Super excited, man. I cannot wait to meet those people. I've actually had people reach out to me off air via email that are a part of certain tribes, and they have said, Rex, we want to open our doors to you and share knowledge with you because we've seen some of your podcasts. So how awesome is that? Yeah, we're going to find out what's going. We're going to get to some of this information that people haven't been fortunate enough to learn about. And one thing that I think is very interesting, Derek, is what you just said about how, we're talking off air, other people can go out there, other people can film, other people can do what they want to. How come these organizations now are saying, no, you can't do this? Or they're not saying you can't do it, but they're kind of they're doing like bully tactics and stuff.
Yeah, they're just making it difficult, right? So what they're making difficult is the congregation, is the fellowship of itself and the gathering, which they also haven't prevented. I mean, you can look at the place from space, look at Google Earth, and you'll see massive amounts of motorhomes and people that have camped out there, but they're like, nope, you can't camp there. You can come in during the day, but you can't camp. And we're like, wait a minute, it's in your satellite photo that you can camp. So we've got another location right outside of the park, and then the family will allow us in during the day to go to that location, and we'll set up there. So we've got the satellite, plus we've got the View Hotel, which is in the top of Monument Valley. And so just to make sure that if the satellite link up isn't working for us for live streams that well, that we'll be able to go up there, and we've got a room there that we'll be able to use their internet and bring you some live streams and kind of break down the events of the day. Now that's on top of the video that we're going to get everybody, because, when Rex goes to Hopi territory, obviously we've got to edit that stuff down. We've got to get it ready to upload. So we'll get that uploaded to everybody's channel as appropriate and as soon as we possibly can. So I'm going to be bringing a machine there. I'm a very, very quick editor. So anything we need to put together for anybody's channels, I'll be there to make sure that we can get that done in a big hurry. But on top of that,
can I read something real quickly?
You can, of course.
This was published in 1789, and it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Interesting. A little thing called the U.S. Constitution, First Amendment, I think they call that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, what they do is, and this is the purpose for everything. It's so they can deny you things. So they'll go, they create a bureaucracy. They go, well, no, we have a process for that, and you have to ask us to do it a year in advance, that kind of stuff. So that's just how the bureaucracy manages those things. I've always said it's ridiculous. It's kind of like, Rex, if you live on a river and you want to take people and where the best fishing is on that river, they're going to require you to go through a process to get a license in order to show people where fish are at on that river. That way they just keep people like on their system no matter what. You can't show somebody how to fish anymore. You can't teach anybody. Everything is a governmental system that is built around bureaucracy, rules, and this is exactly why we all have such an affinity for rules, right? We wouldn't be here otherwise. So we certainly wouldn't be doing this. But I could tell you one thing. There isn't a whole lot that's going to stop me, because I'll kick in some doors, man. And here's the reality.
Derek, you talked about a $20 2-day entrance fee. Could you extrapolate on that? Is that to get into the area where the daily event will be?
Yeah, that's the area. That's the park itself. And that $20 is 4-car load for 4 people. And that allows you 2 days in the park. And like I said, that basically says you can go into the park and you can be there for 2 days. It doesn't say you can leave the park. So you find a place to camp. The thing is they're just saying, no, you can't gather together at that location. It's crazy. So we'll go down there during the day, just so everybody understands. I will be, if anybody that is planning on attending, you go onto the Discord channel, I'll be giving the exact location of where the external campsite is, where we can go from, and then during the day we can meet and gather and review all of the things that we've seen during the day and bring and watch video. I also have a 16 foot inflatable screen and a PA system, so we'll set that up and we'll congregate and we're going to let Rex review. We're going to watch The Matrix, and we're going to let Rex tell everybody the real definition of The Matrix as we go.
Nice.
I can do that.
Shout out to Melinda for sending me this awesome hat. Toque, is that how you say it? These gloves. Toque. This awesome toque with the Canadian leaf there, and of course it matches the background, which is a nice touch, and then the nice gloves and the muffler, the scarf. Thank you so much, Melinda. Straight and official from Canada, and it's going to make a big difference in my trip. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, we also have, it appears that we also might have other channels showing up, pretty large channels that have reached out to me and let me know that they're probably going to be there. So we're going to have a lot of representation there from YouTube. That's for sure. So
you going to drop any names, Derek?
I can't necessarily say. I've heard that Mr. MBBB or whatever his name is, Mr. because he lives out here in Arizona, right? So it's it's not a long trek for him, but I've heard that he's going to be there. There's a couple other channels. There is some Christian paranormal researchers.
Really?
Yeah. So
awesome! I can't wait to talk to them.
And of course, like I was showing Rex, I've got the infrared cameras. We've pretty well got everything covered. We've got yes, it's Mr. MB333. Just somebody corrected me. Thank you.
Well, once you got Rex Bear Leak Project, Man, Myth, the Legend there, everything else is downhill. So you just can't get much better than that.
No, and congratulations.
Yeah,
Rex broke 300,000 subscribers.
How about that?
Hey, thanks. It's like amazing.
Much guaranteed to be followed by the feds.
It's exciting. Every time I check my phone to see where it's getting routed through, it's getting routed through either the Department of Defense in Columbus, Ohio, or it's getting routed through the Department of Labor and Pensions in the United Kingdom, which is very bizarre. It's like, okay, for 7 years off and on, I've been tracking my phone. It's like, yeah, it's through the Department of Pension in the United Kingdom. And then you look it up on Google search and it's this little office that looks like nobody's in there. And it's like, ooh, this is really bizarre. And then you do another search on it and you're like, you only find 2 other people that have searched. They're like, yeah, why is my phone getting routed through the labor of pensions in the United Kingdom? It's like, I don't know. It's a conspiracy. It's not real. It doesn't exist. This doesn't exist either. I was just reminding people, thank goodness that it's not real.
Thank you.
Everything's an illusion. Just go back.
It's all just an illusion. It's not real.
Okay. It's all okay. They love you very much. They love us so much. They're taking care of us. Just leave it in their hands. It's all fine.
Dude, like the ads that come up now on like are just crazy. Like the other day, Kristen was talking about one of these minx cats, these really big cats, and they're not even minx; it's something else. And then the next day, Mancoon, yeah. And then the next day, like I'm looking through Yahoo, and then this sponsored ad pops up, and it's like, "Hey, Mancoons, get yours today!" And I'm just like, "The board, we're in it." Like the Paradise fires that have been going on and the lost paradise. So the second or third day that I'm reporting on that, I turn on Netflix and the recommended TV series to watch is Paradise Lost.
Oh, so they're definitely listening, even when they're not supposed to be listening.
That's just because they love us. So they're calling you right now.
Exactly.
They're like, hey, we'll see you at the Monument Valley. Is Diamond going to be there? You better not talk about any paleontology shit. Pardon my language.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get Mud Fossil University to come out. It was too short notice, and Richie from Boston wanted to come out. But it was too short notice for him. So everybody's just gotten wind of this. But there is, I can tell you that if you watch the video that I have of going through there, these monuments, it's crazy, and you can look up. And first of all, that there are many caves around these monuments, and we've got. I'm told that one of the guides is going to take us into some of these caves. Now, also keep in mind that there are caves. Now, even though these caves are owned by these people and these families, that they're not even allowed to go into the caves on some of these caves on their own property. That the federal government will not allow them to even go into their own caves. It is just insane. So, I mean, there is something there.
It's the land of the free, dude.
There is a lot more there, right? When you talk about four corners of the earth, this Congress, that area, that whole area is nothing but a massive plasma strike, right? So what is there? Who are the people that save these tribal people? Because look, if this is a construct, and this is where I always get frustrated with everything, because, you know, these people have to understand they have, quote, secrets, right? They're protecting these secrets on behalf now of the federal government. But the reality is, if these are secrets of this earth and we are all citizens of this place, then there isn't anybody that has the authority to withhold that from the rest of the earth. So this is the time that they need to start showing. They need to start speaking up. They need to tell us and show us what is being hidden. There's no two ways about it. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop pushing. I want them to disclose these things. Their prophecy says they will. They better start doing it. But I understand their fear. I totally understand their fear, because the federal government has been, I mean, so heavy-handed. It's amazing that you can, I can't remember the name of the guy's channel, but he, a guy had gone to the Grand Canyon and was talking to the park rangers and the public information officer of the park itself, and asking, you know, how many cave systems there are. There are literally tens of thousands of cave systems in the Grand Canyon that you're not allowed to go in. And she was telling him, no, we're only allowed to go in a few of them, and not even us are allowed to go into other caves. And the federal government says, yeah, and they say, and this is their excuse, they say that you can't go into the caves because we're protecting them for future generations.
Oh.
What? If you can't see them, then if you can't see them today, then you're going to show them to people in the future? What the hell's the point? So it's clear that there are things being hidden. And they talk about, you know, this guy brought up a great point on his channel. He said, you know, they said, well, your fingerprints on the stalagmites could damage them. And he's like, these things have existed for millions of years. With what? So my thumbprint? What about the other people that before the federal government came? What about their thumbprints? What about their fingerprints? What about the animals? And there's just no explanation. And they're listening to this public information officer was like listening to a robot. And the terrifying thing about it is that, but then he asks her, he says, well, can you tell me of what are there any anomalies, anything that you can tell me that you've been seeing or as a result of the caves? And she said, yes. In one of these caves, they have found mummified bats.
Whoa.
And he said, mummified bats? And she said, yes. And these are tree bats that exist thousands of miles away and don't exist in that area. But yet somehow they came all the way to these caves to be mummified. Why did they go there? What were they there for? And what were they hiding from? So just a couple of the things. So the reality is we're going into areas, and this will probably be the first of many excursions, because, you know, you have to catch people by surprise. So, and that's why I believe going in there like a reporter and putting the camera in their face and saying, have them tell you. You know, when you're asking somebody, have them tell you, I can't take you in there. Why? Get that on camera. Have them say why they can't, right? This is the only way you expose people. You've got to, and it's not to expose them individually, but to expose that there is absolutely things being hidden from us right under our nose, right here. You know, it's amazing. I've always said, if you had the Ark of the Covenant and you wanted to hide it from people, the safest place would be to put it in a pawn shop in Phoenix. Right in the window, because nobody would believe it was the Ark of the Covenant. It's kind of the same thing. Make it a park, allow people to come and pretend like you can see the whole park. The whole world thinks you can see it. You can't. You can visit a tiny section of the Grand Canyon. You can visit a tiny section of these places. You're not allowed to go into certain areas. It's also like Yosemite. You know, you have this massive protected park, and you can visit this tiny little section of it, and then ask yourself this question: why is it that every single president once a year visits Yosemite? They talk like it's a vacation. Oh, we're going to visit this national park. BS. Sorry. You're going to locations within these parks. What are you going to see? What are they disclosing to you? So I'm sorry, I just don't believe that there is any excuse from keeping secrets that are secrets of this planet and secrets of our existence from anybody.
Let me
There
add
is only
something.
correlation between how much, everybody has this whole Bible, 66 books, Genesis 1:1 to Revelation 22:21. But we really just have to wait for the priests and the preachers and the ministers to give us the piece of it that we really need to get. We really don't need to get into it ourselves. Leave that to the professionals. You haven't been to Bible college. You don't have a seminary degree. Don't worry about this. We'll take care of you. Couldn't be any correlation, though.
Yeah, exactly. But exactly the same thing. This is exactly what I'm talking about is that you've got all of these scriptures and they've decided you can only see some of them. Right. So that was the Council of Nicaea. It's the same thing with the territories. It's the same thing with the Grand Canyon. It's the same thing with the caves. I'm done with it. The world needs to be done with it. And if we're not going to go and request it, then who the hell is? It's
that
time.
brings a smile to Diamond's face.
You ready, Diamond?
Yeah, let's go in the caves. I mean, I wish you guys came out to St. Cowie with Rex and I. This is right off the side of a highway, a 2-minute walk in, and you are in some of the most incredible ancient ruins anywhere that anyone has ever seen. There are piles of pottery, but there was no restrictions. Well, there was. Remember, Rex? There was like a rope that said, don't go here. But there was no one there. So, I mean, we didn't go there with chisels and hammers. We went there to record it for posterity on film, which we did.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do the same thing out in Monument Valley.
Let me add something real quick if I can, because this bullying tactic that you were talking about, or the just kind of like the intimidation, I should say, the intimidation tactics that are being used right now against people on private property. And this now Monument Valley is a national park, is it not?
It's a protected park, but the family, for instance, the Holiday family that owns the property, their family has been on this property that they have on record since 510 AD.
Ooh.
Right? 510 AD. Their family name is on this property. This is their property, but yet the park says it's protected because. So first of all, you have to ask, why is this protected? Right? What are you protecting? And that in and of itself, it's what these people can't protect their own property. They don't have their own rights. They've been limited. Yes.
But up until today, though, there's been basically no problems. Like people can go there camping. I mean, other than the stuff they can't go see, they're not saying, oh, you can't have people get together there and do a bunch. So basically what's going on right now, what I am gathering from the gathering in the desert, what is going to be called the Witness in the Desert. And I've joked about it, but I've said afterwards, it's going to be called the Witness Protection Plan in the desert. It's going to be like they're saying, no, we don't want you there. We don't, because they know that we find stuff just kind of, I wish I could tell you the stuff that is going to be available soon, folks. I can't share it with you yet, but it's so exciting. There's stuff on the horizon. It's going to blow your mind, but like literally stuff just comes around us. It shows up. It presents itself. Derek, Jeff, Diamond, myself. I mean, it is what it is. It's like we don't even have to search for it. It finds us. So I think that if it's one of two things, it's either that company that you said that's going to be out there testing experimental craft, so they don't want us picking up on that, or they don't want us finding some type of underground facility, some type of catacomb or network of a civilization that is so far advanced and so far above and beyond what we think of as a future technology, it would just change everything. That gets on the net, it changes everything. Unless then what they'd have to do is they just have to, they could do the smear campaign. They could come up with a bunch of crap, make a bunch of stuff up, say with special effects. They could find their way to make it not as real and appealing, because people are pretty much that brainwashed now. Talk about the Matrix. They don't want to taste the porridge. They want the fake steak. So that's what they do. They give people fake steaks. And what if we went there and we had a chance to meet these beings? And these ant beings, I don't think they're extraterrestrials. I think they've been here longer than we have. I think they were here before us. And they're like, oh, look at these silly humans. They think they're so smart. We better save them. The world's about to blow up. We got these plasma discharges all over the place. Let's bring them down here for a few years. Then they can go back up and repopulate.
Well, the way that they speak of them is like a trans-dimensional being, that they can be here and then not here. Mm-hmm. Right. And this would also, you've got all the legends of Sasquatch that makes would make sense that that would also be some transdimensional aspect of it, that they appear and then they're not here and then you can't find them, right? But they leave evidence behind that they were there, smells, hair, certain things like that. So
now, Rex, I've seen the mantis type being. Would you think that's the same as the ant people?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I have a very vivid memory when I was just like, I've talked about, I kind of got more of a mantis vibe, but I didn't really get that until I saw the statue in Göbekli Tepe. What I used to describe them as like these Star Wars figures out of Return of the Jedi. I thought, like, I was asking my parents, did we have giant Star Wars figures growing up? The life-size Star Wars figures? But anyway, that was like that scene out of Return of the Jedi where there's those beings playing the instruments. And, they're like the insectoid being, and they're playing those instruments in the Return of the Jedi scene where Jabba the Hutt's there. And that's what my mind was remembering them as. Then when I saw that statue from Göbekli Tepe of that mantis being holding a little child, I almost started crying, man. I got really emotional, and like just overflowing with emotions. So I think they could have been mantis, but maybe the ant beings are the mantis beings, and that's how we depict them. I don't know. Diamond, do you want to make a comment on that?
Well, yeah, I think that we're all thinking on a similar plane of transdimensionals, meaning that some people are able to pick up on them. And in our instances, we were at a very naive point where we had I didn't even know about aliens when I first saw these entities. And so maybe it has to do with your mindset as well as the type of person you are, genetics. But I don't think that they're from a foreign place. I think that they're from here.
Well, that gives life to the Middle Earth theory, right? Which after I've done some research into that, there's a whole lot of evidence that that's the case. What are we seeing there, Jeff?
I believe that's what the statue Rex was talking about.
That's it. Man, that is wild.
Now in Bandelier, I have video and photographic evidence of large lizard statues that are very reminiscent of this. And Rex knows exactly what I'm talking about. This is about a 15-foot high statue, and it is absolutely mind-blowing. If you want me to pull it up, I can find it.
Yeah, you can bring that up. Sure. Yeah, there is, Admiral Byrd, somebody brought up, and also Lou Mikado earlier mentioned about people disappearing from national parks. It's quite common. In fact, if you look up the amount of people that have disappeared from national parks, it's quite stunning. So I'll let you bring that up. So Rex, when you said, maybe I'm not familiar, but you said from your past memory, you had an event that you're remembering things from.
Yeah, man. I don't think I've ever forgot it. I remember it since I was a toddler. It happened when I was in a crib. I remember I was in my crib, and I'm getting emotional, dude, just thinking about it. But I was in the crib, and like I was looking at them, and they were looking at me. And it wasn't a bad vibe. They were just like observing me. And I just remember staring at them. And I remember it was the first house we lived in because the door to the left was open. And then there's this hallway. And then I remember looking at the door, looking at the hallway. And it was the first house we had. The second house we had was a swimming pool. We moved into that house when I was 2. So it was before I was 2 years old. And there was 3 of them. And they were just kind of observing me, dude. It was just really weird, man. And then I just remember always thinking that I had life-size Star Wars figures growing up. And then I remember asking my parents about it when I was like, I don't know, in my early 20s. And I was like, do we have life-size Star Wars figures? And they're like, no, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, I told them the story. And they were just like, oh, okay. And then they kind of forgot about it. And I brought it up, several years later and stuff. But man, it was a trip, dude. I don't know what they were. I don't remember going anywhere. They didn't do anything to me that I remember. They're just like they were observing or something. And yeah, that's the story, man. Thanks for getting me all emotional, dude.
God, sorry about that. Hey,
Man.
we've got Jacob Israel in the chat room, and he's actually asking how many people have seen aliens, that he once saw UFOs, but he's never had an encounter that he can remember. He said it sounds horrifying, but the amazing part is as a child, I grew up in northern British Columbia, Canada, so quite a ways out in the middle of nowhere. In fact, how I got to a lodge that I was running as a youngster when I was 12 years old was a 400-mile dirt road, literally just two trails with grass in between for 400 miles. And where I was at, not only did I constantly see things that did not make a whole lot of sense, but it made me question. I thought I'd been out in the woods a little too long. But yes, I saw not only UFOs, but I also saw what appeared to be, I wouldn't call it Bigfoot. I just would call it a very, very big person that didn't have clothing on, but yet had a different texture of body. And I saw that out in the middle of nowhere. And those are the types of things that when you're growing up, you don't mention, right? You don't talk about it. You're like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to bring that up because I thought that people would think I was crazy. But today I look back on those times and how close my encounters were with them. It makes me realize that there is a certain portion of that it's almost like, when you're kind of chosen to speak about these things, chosen to understand these things going on, that, that probably changed you, Rex, to the point that you're doing what you're doing today just as a result of it. And that's where the disclosure comes from, right? But experience them.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a good point. It could be, like I said, I go back even when I was just a little kid too, the thoughts that I had in my mind, it's always going, it's constantly thinking about the alternative, why we're really here, what we're doing, where we're going. And space has always had a big part, traveling space. I don't know. I mean, I've even had out of body experiences before. One time I had like the most amazing out of body experience. I used to practice it. I used to spend time, like you can do exercises. There's a great book called 90-Day Guide to Astral Projection by Robert Bruce. And if you practice the steps, dude, this thing's just blasting off red right now. Like,
Hey, shut up, Rex. Don't tell them. You're telling them too much.
no, you guys think I'm crazy anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But 90-Day Guide to Astral Projection, and you can actually learn how to have these out-of-body experiences and experience it yourself. And one time I had an out-of-body experience and I wanted to just see how far I could go. So I just kept going as far as I could go. And I remember seeing the planet, like, yeah, you watch those movies where you leave the planet like in a rocket or something, and then it's slow, and then you'll see the other, like the moon will go past, and the other planets, and then solar systems will turn into like a real small ball, and then entire galaxies.
William Shatner's voice.
What's that?
And then you hear William Shatner's voice.
No, I didn't hear any voices. But I felt this really beautiful, like warmth. And I went out as far as I could go, and it looked like I was almost like a bird's eye view of the entire universe. And it was like this about the size of a grapefruit. It had this whitish color around it, and it was just this real beautiful feeling. It was amazing. So I think that when you get to the point of, if you ever have an experience with possibly paranormal or something like that, and it kind of follows you around, you tend to experience things a lot of people might call kind of, I don't know, crazy or kooky, but then you can verify it with science later in life, or, maybe next generation, maybe not this lifetime, but a future lifetime. There's been a lot of people that have talked about some of the stuff that I discuss. Helena Blavatsky talked about it in her teachings. The Secret Teachings of Man or something like that is the name of the book, where she decoded these stanzas and talked about the original beings manifesting from light. And then after these cataclysms, the people that came back were actually inferior, and we were on this inferior cycle. We're not anywhere near what our ancestors were when they were originally created. But, she talked about how people wouldn't be able to validate that in her time, but in the future, science would prove it. And it is now. It's proving a lot of what she said in the past. So I think that there's people that haven't researched her enough that knock her and say that she's a kook, a charlatan and stuff. But if you read her stuff, it connects with all sorts of science and teachings around the world that are now being decoded.
Well, science is, the amazing thing is science is proving everything that we were told was a lie, right? And the accepted dogma that we have, for instance, that the speed of light is the fastest known speed, but now we know differently. So you could go to a university just 20 years ago and say the speed of light isn't the fastest there is, and you would have been shunned, kicked out of the university, and probably not been allowed back. But today, that's now common knowledge based on CERN and their experiments of what they've found of the splitting of the photon lights, that they're communicating, that these photons communicate at a speed faster than light. It's an instantaneous communication that they can't even measure, right? But these photon lights, when split up, they do the exact same thing. They're actually communicating. Right. So when one photon chooses to go one direction, it was split up from a single photon, that it goes in the same direction. And the same thing that we find today, and that goes to the connected consciousness of the people, which we're experiencing today with synchronicities, that there is a far bigger understanding that is coming to light about how well we're all connected. Once you separate yourself from the lies of this world, we all of a sudden become connected through a consciousness that is far more powerful than anybody realizes. That we can, when you have an impact, when you say something, when you think something, everybody is feeling that and thinking that. It's kind of like the experiment of the monkeys where, they taught these monkeys to wash these nuts. And then monkeys on the other side of the world that were of the same species started to wash the nuts when they hadn't washed the nuts before. So what is that? And I believe that all of these different pieces are precisely what they've manipulated. That connected consciousness is what we've been manipulated with. That instead of it allowing us to be connected and be this one being, that body, right? The body of Christ, that connected consciousness, that they've disrupted that. And they've utilized the ley lines and everything that is of this planet in order to take over people's consciousness and dictate how they think, what's important. And that's how they drive and run the world. Look, and that comes through things just like this, religion. That religion is responsible for every atrocity ever committed on this planet. Every one of them. All of the atrocities all over the globe came as a direct result of religions. That is part of that consciousness. Why are you laughing at me, Jeff?
I'm not. Diamond just sent me something, but it was very funny. But those monkeys were actually washing sweet potatoes, Derek.
Was it sweet potatoes? Sorry, it wasn't nuts then. Okay, so sweet potatoes. Diamond's correcting me. Perfect. Keep me in check, Diamond.
Yeah, if you say the monkeys were taught how to wash their nuts, it could have a totally different meaning to some people.
We just look at it.
Just the minds in the gutter.
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes. I'm not sure sweet potatoes has a better connotation.
No. It's like, you want to wash my sweet potatoes? Can you wash my nuts?
Can I jump in real quick about
Sure.
the collective consciousness idea
Yes.
you're just talking about, and people being able to communicate? Leah and I, my partner, were talking recently about, I had a download back in 2012. I had been doing some meditative practices, going outside and staring up at Orion and Sirius and just being reflective. And after doing this for about 10 different occasions, it was right around the solstice, I went outside to do the same thing. And all of a sudden, it felt like someone put a cassette in my head. It almost like a washing over of me, where hundreds or thousands of questions that I had from geology and being in the field and other scientific questions were answered. They were all answered. And it was insane, so insane that I couldn't fathom it. Every new concept I thought about, I had an answer for. It was like an instantaneous download of knowledge. I went on the internet and started, I guess, prophesizing what had just happened. And within a day, Dave Talbot from the Thunderbolts Project contacted me for an interview. And during that interview, he revealed to me that I wasn't the first person that this has happened to. He has interviewed hundreds of scientists that had similar downloads over the last decade. This information is continuing to come to me, and more people around the world are also experiencing this. So I wondered what your take on this process is. To me, it's part of the Yuga cycle, and the way that they describe maybe our DNA is activating and we're just gaining information that we already knew.
That's what I've spoken about quite often, is that it was very much the same thing for me. The way I describe it is it's as though somebody took my brain out and replaced it with somebody else's that knew all of these secrets, but somehow I still maintained my memory of who I was and the things that I've done, but yet I had no attachment to them. I remembered all of them, but I had no attachment. I became a completely different human being overnight. And it scared the crap out of me that I mean, I literally, you know, when you read in scripture that your bones were made like water, that's what happened. I couldn't even, I mean, everything that I thought that I knew to be true was wiped out in an instant. Everything I knew, I had answers to everything from a cosmological standpoint, from a geological standpoint, from all scientific notions, all measurements, everything. Math was wrong. Math was different. I was seeing things not in a sexagesimal system, but in a 10-base system. All of these things, none of this stuff I had ever even contemplated, much less tried to absorb. I was given in an instant. And so then, and only then was it that I was able to begin to rationalize and go, wait a minute, there has to be some evidence of this stuff. And that's when I went back to what I knew, right? I went back to the Bible. And instantaneously, I could read the Bible in an entirely different way, that I could see all of the words and how we have been taught to understand them in the wrong way in order to deceive us, and that all of those secrets are actually disclosed. And it's what made me realize that, wait a minute, they're telling you these things, and they're also giving you the lie at the same time. Because that lie is trust in another man rather than trust in yourself. And the things that I learned, the things that I absorbed, I recognize that I'm not being given this stuff. I am simply being opened to what I already have in me, that I already was this person. It was simply the lid was taken off, and that who I truly was came alive. And that's where and everybody does this. And it's amazing. It's remarkable. That's why I've said, I'm not here to tell you the truth. I'm here to overturn a rock and let you find the truth on your own. Because if I tell you the way that this system works, the way that our minds have worked, the way that we've been programmed, is that you will be indebted to me for the information that I gave you. And so basically, you'll be hesitant to even take it, because then it's actually my truth, not your own. And so this is how we've been programmed to stay away from these things. Everything is a monetary system, even in the way we accept things, right? Debt is part of that we don't want to be in debt, and that we want to own stuff. So all of these things that have that, you know, it's interesting to hear you say that, Diamond, of how you, how that came upon you, because it was the exact same thing. And it started around 2012, but the big download for me came in 2013. And I was completely rocked. And I mean, rocked off my feet. I started to receive pieces of it. But I mean, when I say pieces of it, it was like instantly I saw light bulbs in, and this is the visions that I had. I saw light bulbs and sconces in the pyramids, right? And I saw light bulbs at the top of staffs. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I was shown the power of where they were powered and how they were powered. And I could see, and this is, I had always thought a pyramid was a tombstone, right? I thought it was, they buried dead pharaohs there. But I was shown instantaneously that the pyramids are a power structure, right? That the capstone on the top of the pyramid that's missing sits on top of a quartz crystal, and everything lines up and actually receives power and then gave power to the entire region. So it wasn't just a, you know, and then instantaneously, like I said, you start reading and the Ark of the Covenant, right? So the Ark of the Covenant, then I just instantly heard the name Ark. Where do you think Ark came from? Ark being electrical arc, right? So, and then all you have to do is do a little bit of searching upon that. And then inside the Pyramid of Giza, there is a platform down right up underneath the center portion, right in the center of it. And it happens to have the exact same dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant, which then all of a sudden you go to scripture and you read that Pharaoh was letting Moses and his people go right up until the people went and took a bunch of stuff. And then Moses somehow is leaving Egypt with the Ark of the Covenant. So then Pharaoh's chasing after him. I wonder what that ark was. It sounded like it was pretty damn important to the Pharaoh. So things like that, just constant overturning of a stone. I mean, it was just nonstop. And so I started to get into all of the ancient texts. I mean, all of them, into cuneiform, you name it, as far back as I could go. And everything that I had already been shown was confirmed in these things. That's why nobody can tell me, nobody can point their finger at me and make me doubt the things that I know. It's like, you couldn't convince me any different than what I know, because I know it now.
Powerfully stated, Derek. Powerfully stated. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, I think you just mentioned it when you were talking about your Bigfoot story, or maybe it was another conversation we had about how some people are seeing like a green haze around Bigfoot sightings, and I think that he might be interdimensional. And I'm wondering if there might be more than one of those species, or some of the species have forgotten who they are. Maybe they got here, got stranded. Because I saw what we call a skunk ape down here in Florida. It's basically a Bigfoot, but there was no haze or anything. He looked very organic to me. He looked very much of the earth. So I wonder if not all of them are interdimensional, or some of them just get stranded here and they move to Colorado and love it so much that they just forget where they're really from.
I think that might be
the original Neanderthals.
Yeah.
I had a great guest on last night that was talking about how Neanderthals could have been more of a predator than like being able to see in the dark, being able to smell things miles away, being more like a dinosaur per se. Like, what are those things called? The raptors, the velocity raptor. Did I say that right?
Velociraptor.
Veloci. Yeah, I keep saying velocity. Like, I don't know. It's like a band. Anyway, yeah, like those things. And then there's this cataclysm, wipes most of them out. And those that remain, we call Bigfoot, we call Sasquatch, we call Yeti, we call skunk ape, but maybe that's our ancestors.
That's a great point, Rex.
Your thoughts, Diamond? Thank you, Jeff.
I think that the Ark of the Covenant is a battery that they were able to take out of the main pyramid in Giza and leave with. And in fact, it was the mechanism which ran the pyramid, almost a nuclear, let's say, core. But
wow.
Because most of the accounts of people coming near that, they lose their hair, or it's as if it's radioactive. And so I think that has a lot to do with the power system that you were talking about, Derek, and that the Ark of the Covenant was actually a device that was important to keep that running, ancient technology. And if you were stealing the last piece of ancient technology that existed from an ancient culture, I think a lot of people would be coming after you.
Yeah.
To say
the least, with your entire army. Yeah, no question about it. It's a remarkable thing to go through all of these truths, and we're going to get to the bottom of these things. There's no question. Look, the apocalypse doesn't mean destruction. The apocalypse means the revealing.
Yep.
That revealing is going to happen. Period. There isn't anything that anybody can do. And from a cosmological standpoint, and so here's where I believe, at least my personal belief and what I've seen, where the tribal people, the clans people of the Hopi and Cherokee Nation. First of all, when you go through it, you're going to find out that the Cherokee Nation is the tribe of Judah. You're going to find out that that lost tribes come from, that many of these lost tribes are right here on this continent. I think that we're going to understand that in this construct, is a repetitive nature, right? Everything gets wiped out. That you have these calamities that come upon the world, everything gets wiped out, and certain people continuously get saved. So the Hopi people continuously survive these calamities that come upon the world. Why? Because there needs to be a blueprint of people that never really deviated, that never became part of the world, that still grow their crops and still live this very simple life, that it's a very simple transition for them. It doesn't matter if the whole world was wiped out and every person was killed on the earth, the Hopi people would still be the same. They'd be the same people, right? They would live their lives just like they've always lived, and that they would replenish the earth, go forth and replenish the earth, right? That's what this is all about. So, I want to get to the bottom of these things, but the reality is the destruction that comes upon the earth, maybe the protection, because in that area, you can look at that Monument Valley, you can look at the Grand Canyon, and now we're starting to recognize, and even science is proving this, that the Grand Canyon was made in a very short period of time, and it was not done by water. that is absolutely a plasma strike. All you have to do is look at it from space, and it just becomes common knowledge. You look at it, you go, yeah, that was a big plasma strike. So when you hear about the ancients speaking of a terrifying lightning, that's what that is. What causes that? Planetary bodies. And Rex, I saw that I was watching your show. You were going off on flat earthers for about an hour and a half. I thought that was funny.
I was just sharing the love. I just wanted to let them know how much I love them and respect their opinions. And I would just like them to keep their opinions to themselves on their own channel. It's like, yeah, I get it, leaving the flat earth, but we could be talking about 5G. We could be talking about biotech. I could be talking about a movie. I could be talking about anything and everything but the flat earth. But you know what's important and nothing else matters? The flat earth. It's like, oh yeah. Oh, and by the way, Rex, did you know that NASA made space in a basement? I'm like, oh, they did? Well, it's like, how do you even have a conversation with people like that really think NASA made outer space in a basement? And they'll be like, no, that's not what I meant. I just meant what you see on TV, Yeah, because we're in a flat plane. We're in a flat airplane, folks. Yes, it's called the land of flatliners. Living in the land of flatliners. That's the new TV show.
Well,
And
somehow,
maybe
the flat earth prevented me from getting a hat. I'm starting to feel a little left out here.
I'm bringing you one to the event.
Awesome.
I've only got like one left, and you're getting it, man.
I'm telling you, I've already ordered the material. The material. I'm gonna make 5G beanies.
Dude, I'll make it a liner real quick. Check this out.
Derek, did I understand you to maybe allude to the fact that possibly, if we extrapolate a little bit from what you just said, that if the Hopi are the people that remain after every great cataclysm, is it possible that the Hopi might have been the people that we would look to as Adam and Eve after the great cataclysm in between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2?
I would say that's probably a very likely scenario. But see,
I missed what he said.
Every continent has tribal people, right? Every continent has tribal people. So you just like Adam and Eve being more than one in the ancient texts. So every continent has their tribal people that survive these calamities.
Interesting.
The Aborigine, Australia. So
you're wondering why, but this is why, folks.
Is it helping, Rex?
I feel so much better, Derek. I feel great.
I feel like I'm getting zapped. So,
I feel amazing. I better.
Rex, does this model have any 5G protection on it? The one I have?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Take it off. Go like this. Now let me see underneath. Look underneath it. Look underneath it. Where's your liner, bro?
I didn't get a liner, bro.
You didn't get a liner?
I didn't, but that's okay.
I've got a liner for you. I've got an extra one. I'll bring it at the event. And then, yeah. Now, see, I don't have any left, like with the liners actually in them. Like, see, this one doesn't have a liner in it, so I've got the liner that comes. This is the original. This is the original. This is the second prototype. And then this one actually, this one's got a liner built into it. Look at the number on that one. This is number 69 out of 88.
That's a good one.
69 out of 88. So I wanted number 69 out of 88, and this one's got the liner built into it. But yeah, man. And then I got these new ones coming out that are like carbon fiber. They're all wicked. They're awesome. Go to tinfoil caps. Tinfoil cap co. No, time out. Take that back. Tinfoilcap.co. Tinfoilcap.co. It's the new website. You can actually be called a conspiracy theorist, and they'll say, hey, man, where's your tinfoil hat? And you'd be like, it's right here. And guess what? It also blocks 5G. While they're on their phone, like, oh, yeah, I'm on my phone 12 hours a day because it's so cool. And I'm just like, eh. You're like, okay, I'm the conspiracy theorist. Go microwave that biphenyl.
So we're modeling three different models, I think, of these hats here, right?
Yeah. Dude, Derek's getting one. I'm glad Diamond's got one. I'm glad you got one. And I will bring you a liner, absolutely, because you got to have the liner.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, bro.
Nice. Awesome. I can't be left out. I need a hat, I guess.
Dude, you're so getting a hat. But can I show you something real quick? Look at this. Yeah. Look, okay. So if you see on the bottom there's a number that says 1,827. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah, I see it.
That means that this thing hit 1,827 microteslas per square meter. So what does that mean? That means it's a lot higher than it's supposed to be. It's really not supposed to be higher than like 0.18.
Wow.
So 0.2. It shouldn't be higher than 0.2. You know, to stay in the green range, if it gets into the red range, it starts at about 18. At about 18. Well, that was 1,827. So times that by 1,000. No, by 100.
Well, think about this. So if the sun returns, and according to scripture, that it will be like lightning striking in the east, or in flashing in the west.
What?
What is that?
What? Diamond's getting 5G. You okay, bro? He hit the mute button. It's good. All right. What'd you say?
So I can't even remember what I was saying. I was too busy listening to the recording.
Rex, do you think there's terrestrial Bigfoots and interdimensional Bigfoots?
I mean, why not? I mean,
yeah,
there's probably all sorts of stuff out there that we would consider Bigfoot. But I feel that the a lot of times people say they saw Bigfoot. I think that could be they were here way before us.
That's like the Neanderthals. You answered this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a little slow.
No, that's all right. No, that's all right. And I think are they interdimensional? I don't know about that, but I think they're probably just really good at being able to hide out. You know, they could probably smell us from miles away. And then you think, well, why don't we see a lot of satellite footage? I've talked to people that have spent their life investigating Bigfoot encounters. And if you find Bigfoot or if you have footage of Bigfoot, you're going to have a visit with the Men in Black. Even if you don't talk about it, you're going to get a visit. And if you don't release that footage, they're going to find a way to get it. So yeah, I mean, that's a real sensitive subject, the real Bigfoot out there. And you know what they say about big feet, don't you?
I do. I've heard
big
that.
Shoes. Big shoes.
Big shoes. Really
now,
big.
from a paleontological standpoint, these hominids like skunk ape and Bigfoot and the Yeti and Sasquatch, they may all be different species. And the reason I say that is because hominid bones tend to never be fossilized. Think about where hominids live. They live above the surface in boreal forests where there's water. So when hominids die, their bones tend to not get fossilized. It's very rare we've even pieced together the last 4 million years of Homo sapien, and we have recent breakthroughs every year. So there could be dozens of hominids we don't know about. Skunk ape could be Homo skunkapia, and the Yeti could be Homo giganticus. So there could be multiple hominids roaming around. Some of these entities, if they've been around for millions of years, might be telepathic. They might not need language. We tend to personify all this stuff and think of it in context of us as humans and the way we live right now, which is complete nonsense. If you've been around for millions of years running around the woods and hiding from these idiots called Homo sapiens, you're probably a lot smarter than them, I would imagine.
Well,
absolutely.
You know, Diamond, as you were talking about your awakening, my awakening, all of these truths that we've kind of come into, Jeff's even awakening, being, you know, a part of a Pentecostal church. So, and then we're talking about, Rex, you're sitting there showing that meter. It just, to me, maybe that's why we're awakening. Maybe the high degree of the sun, right? Striking in the east and flashing in the west. Maybe that is what's waking up, is the sun. And because we have more exposure to it, maybe that is why we've been convinced to stay away from radiation. Maybe actually radiation's not actually bad for us. Maybe radiation turns us into something. Maybe the radiation.
Hold on. Depends on hold on. Let me add to that real quick before you go too far on the radiation might be good for us kind of thing. Like as far as cosmic radiation, different types of solar radiation.
Different types of radiation.
Well, I don't want any plutonium or uranium or cesium because, yeah, you'll see a change all right. You'll be like, hey, honey, I just grew a third something. Hey, you want? She'll be like, whoa, you did what? Oh, third hand. Yeah. You want anyway? I mean, it's just I don't want any plutonium mutations. Maybe cosmic. But I'm sorry, I just had to add that.
You won't like Rex when he's radiated.
Cosmic radiation. I'm certain that our form of radiation we've probably polluted. I don't want to stick myself into a microwave anytime soon, right? But
don't even eat food out of that thing, Derek.
Yeah, but think about this: is that what happens to the Hulk? Right? What is the Hulk? Okay, so to me, the Hulk is just one big cancerous.
Wait a second. Yeah, and also Superman, right?
But see, the Hulk is an angry. You know, the way I look at it is if you look at what cancer is today, right? Why is it we want to kill cancer?
That's a good point.
Yeah. So think about this. Cancer is a cell that is 10 times the size it should be. It's an angry cell. It's reacting to some other force that it changes. That's why cancer has changed. So the Hulk is essentially just all of his cells become cancerous instantaneously, right? So that's what the representation of the Hulk is. And all I know is this, is that in this world, I don't know what it is, but they are so concerned with killing the cancer that they don't care whether they kill the patient in doing it. In fact, the patient is the last thing they're worried about. They're only worried about killing the cancer cells. Why?
That's kind of interesting, Derek. But that's ridiculous because cancer is not green.
Well, add to that component a little bit of Inky and Enlil, and you might have some green.
I got you. That's a very, very interesting point.
Yeah, and it's also the same thing as kind of like, what are they saving up blood for? They say, oh, it's the toxicity. You know, the whole thing is that we have, what is it? Why are they draining the blood of every single human? Where is that going?
That's a great question.
Right? Where is all of this blood headed to? Who's it feeding? So the amazing thing is if you go to places like Chatsworth, okay, go to Chatsworth, California, there are underground tunnels all over Chatsworth and in these mountains. You can go into the middle of the desert up there in Chatsworth where they say that there's radiation leaks to prevent people from going or building, right? Oh, there were radiation leaks. They've shut down the whole thing, Chatsworth Park, that whole area up there. But yet there's ancient stones and ancient writings all over the place there. That happens to be where Manson went to and had one of his encampments out there, Charles Manson, and all of these underground tunnels. And the amazing thing is I went out there in the middle of the desert and I found a manhole in the middle, manhole cover in the middle of the desert. And you know what the manhole cover said on top of it? Galilee.
Do not enter.
Galilee.
Was there a tunnel that it was covering, or was it just
No, and freedom. Now, here's the crazy part. I had a pretty good flashlight, and I go down in there. I shine this flashlight, and this flashlight didn't shine on anything. It was so big and so vast, I couldn't shine the light on anything.
Whoa.
So these things are right in front of, and believe me, we're going to be sending people there too, not during this trip, but that's another one. All of these types of things, the hidden undergrounds, all of these hidden caves that are underneath. They just discovered another one. They said, oh, it must have been from smugglers in Florida. But they just discovered these ancient caves in Florida, trying to build some construction and collapsed in on these caves. So this is all coming to fruition. Everything's going to be exposed. So
where's all the blood going?
What do you get when you go in the desert and you find a manhole? Ask Derek.
Ask Derek. Rex, where's all the blood going, bro?
What do you get? What do you think? I'm sorry, I just couldn't help it, man. He's like, dude, I saw a manhole cover. And guess what was on the manhole cover? I'm like, what? Do not enter? No, it was something else. It's like, man, unbelievable. And then he started bringing up flashlights. I'm like, no, you said flashlights. It got real weird real quick. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting 5G right now. It's a swing. All right, so I'm loving it, man. Keep going. It's incredible.
Oh my goodness!
What's this going to be like out in the desert, Derek?
I don't know, man. I tell you, it's Diamond. By the way, here's what Diamond. I think that you and Rex should be the ones going to the Hopi territory. So you guys make up a team, and so I've got lavalier, wireless lavalier mics. You'll mic yourself up. Rex will be mic'd up. We'll find somebody to volunteer as the cameraman. There's also a boom on there, a boom mic on the cameras that I've got. So you guys will be mic'd up. So no matter where you're at around the camera, you'll be picked up, and the boom mic will pick up anybody that you're interviewing. So Rex, what do you think about taking Diamond to Hopi land with you?
Dude, it's going to be crazy. The energy,
make that the team. And then I'm going to take Jeff around the Monument Valley territory. Jeff and I will team ourselves up. And then we'll probably bring one or two more, depending on the other ones that show up. Bring that Diamond and see if it gets you any favor.
Am I the only one thinking about Kung Fu right now? Check that out. There's another one. It's got a bear on it. A bear. Yours had like an eagle, right? Which I thought was interesting because we'll be camping in the mouth of an eagle. Although somebody said it looked like a buzzard, Derek.
Somebody said what?
It looked like a buzzard.
That looks more like a falcon.
No, the rock formation that we're going to be camping in. Somebody said it looked like a buzzard.
Look like a buzzard?
Yeah.
Well, somebody should tell them. Then they need to rename it the Flying Buzzard.
The flying buzzard, right? Rex, I think I decided an alien in your basement.
Where are we going to find Man Bear Pig up there? Somebody's
Rex,
asking if
muted.
Rex is muted.
Rex is muted.
Zorg, Ozzy Stern, and but I don't know about the other one. Serious Sam might be there.
I see. I don't know what Man Bear Pig is. Should I know that?
You never heard about Man Bear Pig?
Never.
That was a South Park episode where South Park had taken Al Gore. Diamond's shaking his head like he said, taken Al Gore, and that Al Gore was a character in South Park that was warning everybody, kind of like the global warming, the thing that didn't.
Oh, I see.
And he was it's Man Bear Pig. He's half man, half bear, half pig. And they would go, how does that work? Right?
That's three halves. Yeah. Okay.
It's a funny
I never
episode.
saw South Park, so that's how it is.
Fair Thori. Fair Thori. Fair Thori. Fair Thori.
I'm super cereal. Anybody that's seen that episode, if you haven't seen that episode, you really should. And Jeff, I'm telling you right now, if you watch South Park, you will love it.
I would, huh?
I spent some time with the creators of South Park on the Paramount lot there, and I can tell you right now that there was a whole lot of pot smoking going on in their office, and they have a ball.
Okay, then.
What about Rick and Morty, though? Like, I just discovered these guys a few months ago, and I'm thinking, have they been watching the podcast? Because it's like perfect. Have you seen it? It's insane. Rick and Morty, man. Like, it's like taking South Park to the next level. You're adding like quantum entanglement. You're at like Rick started dating. He's this interdimensional space traveler, but he's also human, and he builds clones of himself, and he decides to take his grandson out on all these crazy universal projects, and like he dates this one chick named Unity. My favorite episode that I've seen as far as he dates this one chick named Unity, and Unity decides to like assimilate an entire planet. So everybody there they look like individual people, but they're all absorbed underneath Unity. And then so Rick's dating Unity, and then so it all starts breaking up, right? And everything's kind of fine when they're all but then when they start becoming their own people again, they all start going to war and fighting each other based upon what their nipples look like. And I'm just like, this is so perfect. These guys at first, things are pretty good, and then they start decentralizing whatever, and they start fighting over what they look like, and they're killing each other off based upon what their nipples look like. And I'm like, wow, that reminds me of religion. It's the same thing, except, it's like, oh, my God's better than your God. Oh, I'm going to just, my God told me to take out this entire town and the animals and everything. And it's like, yeah, well, that's because they're having sex with animals. That's why God said to do it, because everybody got horny and had sex with animals. Yep. It's like, that's what I've heard is the excuse of why people were taken out in the Old Testament, when there's the stories of how God told, who was it? God said, take out every man. Supposedly it was God. Take out every man, woman, and child, even take out the animals.
Which time?
Which time?
He did that all the time.
Yeah,
it's like, really? God would say to do that? I mean, come on. I mean, if God's all knowing, wouldn't God just be like, and would he have to tell people to go take him out in a barbaric fashion?
It's
a real God could just take out the Man Bear Pigs selectively. He wouldn't have to kill everybody.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have such an issue. It wasn't just the women and children. It was even the creeping and crawly thing. So
right.
Apparently he had an issue with the cockroaches because of the iniquity of the people. So, yeah, no, there was so, hey, I know that there some of you all have to run, so we're gonna close this out here. This is just kind of a preview of the personalities that we're going to have in the desert. How much fun we're going to have. Diamond, I appreciate you showing up, brother. And Rex, love you always. Appreciate you. Cannot wait to meet you on this trip. Jeff, you rock. I love you very much. I cannot wait for all of us to get together. We're going to be uncovering some stuff. And no matter what the situation, wherever we've got to be, we're going to make it happen. We will make it happen. So go on Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, or you're not on Discord, Discord at the bottom of the description box below this video. You can click on the Discord invite and jump in there. Make
But
arrangements.
Derek, doesn't Scripture warn about those that sow discord among the brethren?
Well, maybe they do. So if I'm sowing discord among brethren, I'm not doing it on behalf of the Yahweh God that wants to kill the
That's the other
cockroaches too.
discord.
Yeah, that's the other discord. So there's always a good thing to this. And just so anybody asks, because I'm sure that they're gonna yes, it does have Inky's trident on it. It's got a whole story of ancient history. It doesn't
Nice.
mean that I'm supporting this, but yes, this was
I
given.
think Yankee's awesome.
Inky is he's out of all of the characters of the ancient cuneiform, he's definitely the most likable because at least he actually has a heart for the people that he created, right? But
I mean, so what if he got drunk and he's like, hey, let's make some people. Oh, we made that one. That one can't stand up straight. We'll give him to the king. Give me another beer. That's just the way it was back then.
and Inky couldn't keep it in his pants. Neither could any of the others. So
Yeah, they were horny.
yes, they were quite descriptive. And of course, it says that just like in the Bible, it says that they had members the size of donkeys and issue like that of a horse. That's
So
actually
wait.
that's actually in the Bible, and I checked, and that is actually in here. All right, gentlemen. So love you very much. Thank you all for joining this. And like I said, go to the Discord channel. I'm going to be giving more updates. I will come into the room after this show. I'll be in there talking to everybody there, give a little bit more information about the event. I don't want to waste everybody's time about logistics of everybody watching here because I don't think that 1,091 people that are in the room right now are going to be showing up. So we will. I'll give the details then. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. Love you all. Stick around so I can just say goodbye to you. Everybody, thanks for joining us here on the channel. I love you all much.